Radio Polonia FM. Z nami usłyszysz więcej.
My name is John and I'm interviewing
Dzięgiel.
So my first question is, can you tell me about your father?
So my father was a Polish airman, and he joined the Polish Air Force in 1937. He was called Zdzisław Dziegel, and he was from the Lwów area of Poland, which is now in Ukraine. He joined the Polish Air Force, as I said, in 1937 and was involved in the Polish War in September 1939, and he was on an aircraft called Karaz, and he was the first to go into combat for his squadron. The fighting was so intense, they lost 2 squadrons worth of aircraft in 2.5 weeks. Eventually, when Poland fell, he travelled through Romania, as a lot of Poles did, and he ended up in France fighting in the French campaign. And then he came to the island of Last Hope, which is the UK, and he joined the Polish Air Force here. So in 301 Squadron most of the time on bombers. Later on in the war he was shot down, but managed to survive. Sadly, there was a Brigadier General on his aircraft that did not survive. My father tried to save his life in the aircraft, and he got his Cross of Valour for that. So after the war, settled in Blackpool. Blackpool was a place where all Polish airmen were trained in World War II, so it was a place of happy memories. And unfortunately, a lot of those people he trained with did not survive. Around half of those that trained there would not have survived the war. So that's where my father settled, and that's where I was born in 1968.
Was there any hardships during battles?
There was a lot of hardships, as I've said. Certainly with the bombers, around nearly half of all fought died, and it was all voluntary. With the fighters as well, around 30% of them would be killed. So these were young people, not much older than yourself, certainly closer to your age than my age. So, and they lost their family, they'd lost their country, and they were fighting for themselves really, and for their honour, and for Poland hopefully to become free again. Huge hardships. My father lost his 2 brothers fighting against the Germans, and his father was taken by the Russians to Siberia, which you probably know is the story of most Polish families.
Mm-hmm. My last question is, did your father survive the war, and if so, what did he do after?
Yes, he survived the war. He was shot. He was shot through the legs by a famous German night fighter called Helmut Lent. Helmut Lent didn't survive the war. My father did survive the war, even though he lost about 40% of his body weight by the end of the war. He did survive. He had a healthy life after the war, and he had 5 sons and a daughter. So quite a big family, very Catholic really. Which brings me to, he's passed away now, but you're probably wondering why I'm wearing this fancy jacket and everything. So I'm part of the Polish Heritage Flag, so it's my job to commemorate all Poles, whether they're Army, Navy or Air Force, but it's a bit easier with an aircraft because we can't afford a ship. So I'm part of the Polish Heritage Flight. We've been around since 2019, and we have a Hurricane fighter in 302 Squadron colours here, and we like to remember the Poles. So we fly this from Duxford, particularly on Battle of Britain Day, to remember that it wasn't just 303 that were involved in the campaign. There were many thousands of Poles involved in all combat roles in the Second World War, and it was the 4th largest contingent fighting in the Second World War on the Allied side. That's huge, that is. So we're going to take this aircraft over to Poland next year, and we're going to fly it all around Poland to say thank you to the Poles from the people of this country. I think it's about time we did that, isn't it? Nice speaking to you.
Nice speaking to you too.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Radio Polonia FM. Z nami usłyszysz więcej.